Part 26. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 251. Shen Tianxing also bought a lot of things for Wei Lanlan and Ning Ziyi. Mother and son Wei Lanlan and Ning Ziyi were touched and happy, but also felt a little uneasy about having Shen Tianxing spend so much money on them. At first, they were reluctant to accept it and told Shen Tianxing not to buy it. Later, they accepted it only under Shen Tianxing's force, but they were very happy in their hearts. It wasn't because of the expensiveness of these gifts, but because of Shen Tianxing's sincerity for their mother and son. Next time the mother and son go to visit the prison, she must tell Ningyu how good Xiaoxing is to them, and ask him to stop hating Xiaoxing and stop thinking that Xiaoxing is a disaster star. Ningyu, who was originally sentenced to life imprisonment, had his sentence commuted to 20 years because of his good behavior in prison. Ms. Ning, who was also sentenced to life imprisonment, could not endure the hardship of prison. She died last year and reported to the underworld. In the end, the prison notified Wei Lanlan to help old Ms. Ning collect the bones. On September 1, Shen Tianxing officially went to the Royal Academy to register for school. As for Wei Lanlan and Ning Ziyi, they took the things they bought and went to the capital first prison in the suburbs to visit Ningyu. At this time, Ningyu was not yet 40 years old, but he looked as if he was 50. He no longer looked like a pampered young man from a wealthy family. He saw that Wei Lanlan and Ning Ziyi were wearing brand new brand name clothes today, and a trace of jealousy and anger flashed in their eyes. But he quickly hid the jealousy and anger in his heart, and showed a very friendly smile to Wei Lanlan and Ning Ziyi. Lanlan, Ziyi, you are here. Wei Lanlan and Ning Ziyi were also very excited when they saw him, and they both shouted, "Husband! Dad!" Ningyu pretended to be happy and asked them with concern, "How are you, mother and son, doing outside?" Wei Lanlan quickly replied, "We are living a good life. Xiaoxing is taking good care of us now. Yesterday he took us back to Dugu's house for dinner, took us shopping, and bought us a lot of things. Ayu, you just stop hating Xiaoxing, okay? Speaking of which, we were the ones sorry for her in the first place. Otherwise, our family wouldn't be in this situation now." Ningyu suddenly shouted angrily, "Shut up!" Wei Lanlan and Ning Ziyi were both startled by his loud shout, and looked at the furious Ningyu with frightened expressions. The guard nearby also rushed over and warned Ningyu with a baton, "Number 5089, don't make any noise." Ningyu took a deep breath and slowly put away the anger that wanted to burst out in his heart. He looked at his wife and son who were looking at him in shock, then put on a sad and helpless expression of pain, and said to them pitifully, "Lanlan, Ziyi, you two are doing well, don't worry, I will reform inside and try to go out to reunite with you as soon as possible. Don't worry." After being yelled at by Ningyu just now, Wei Lanlan felt her heart beat fast and her mind was very restless. At this time, even though she heard Ningyu's voice softening, she still looked at him blankly, wondering why he hated Xiaoxing so much. Don't their whole family feel that they have done too many bad things to deserve this retribution? Are they still putting all the blame on Xiaoxing? That's right. Ningyu, Ning Changziu, who was also in jail, and old Ms. Ning, who had not been able to rest in peace, had always blamed Shen Tianxing for the reason why their family would end up in such a tragic end. They all felt that without the disaster star Shen Tianxing, their Ningko family would never have fallen to this tragic end. Everything is Shen Tianxing's fault. It's not their fault. When Ningyu saw Wei Lanlan just looking at him blankly without saying anything, he felt a little uneasy and shouted at her twice more, "Lanlan, Lanlan." Only then did Wei Lanlan react. She reluctantly showed a smile to Ningyu, "Then you can renovate inside. Ziyi and I will wait for you to go home. These are the things we bought for you. There is food and they are useful. Yes, put it away, if you need anything else, just tell us." What Wei Lanlan handed in was taken over by the guard. These things must be inspected by them before they can be delivered to the prisoners. Thank you, Lanlan. Only you and Zi will think of me now. Ningyu looked at this big bag of things, seemingly grateful to his never-ending wife, but he was actually even more angry and resentful in his heart. Why can they enjoy a beautiful life outside, but he has to suffer such torture inside? He wants out. He doesn't want to go out all the time. Ningyu suddenly thought of Shen Tianxing and thought to himself that this little bitch was powerful now. As long as this little bitch was willing to speak for him, he could be released from prison early. Even if you change his identity and let him live a happy life outside, it will definitely not be a problem. I just don't know if that little bitch is willing to do it. Ningyu had made up his mind and suddenly wiped away his tears towards Wei Lanlan. Lanlan, can you tell Xiao Xing and ask her to rescue me? It's so painful here, I really don't want to do it anymore. If you stay here any longer, I'm afraid you'll be dead before 20 years are up. Seeing her husband's pitiful appearance, Wei Lanlan felt pity in her heart and said to him, then I'll try to mention it to Xiao Xing when I get back. If she doesn't agree, there's nothing I can do about it. Ningyu immediately said happily, you are her biological mother. As long as you are willing to ask her, she will definitely agree. If she doesn't agree, kneel down in front of her until she agrees. Wei Lanlan was startled, and she intuitively felt that the method Ningyu taught her was very bad. Wasn't this forcing Xiao Xing? But she still responded to him patiently, I'll try my best, but don't have too much hope. When Ningyu saw Wei Lanlan's perfunctory tone, he suddenly became angry and anxious, and shouted at her in a loud voice, Lanlan, you must help me. You must help me. If you don't help me, no one will help me, woo woo woo. Before Ningyu went to jail, he loved his only son Ningzi very much and almost always responded to his requests. At this time, Ningzi felt soft when she saw her father who loved him crying so pitifully and helplessly. She also persuaded Wei Lanlan, Mom, please help some dads. You and I will let's go and beg my sister together, okay? Wei Lanlan looked at the father and son who were looking at her eagerly, and could only nod helplessly, okay. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 252. Walking out of the prison door, Wei Lanlan sighed and said to Ning Zi with a melancholy look, Zi, tell me, how can I talk to your sister about your father? This is not to embarrass you. Sister. Ning Zi didn't know what to say, but when he thought of poor Ningyu, he couldn't help but feel soft. Mom, let's go find sister together. No matter what the result is, as long as we work hard, we will have a clear conscience, and worthy of Dad's instructions. Wei Lanlan reached out and touched her son's head, sighing and saying, you are right, as long as we work hard, we will be worthy of your father. Let's go home. Your sister just started school today and must be very busy. Let's go find your sister tomorrow. Ning Zi responded sensibly, okay. Shen Tianxing, who went to the Royal Academy for class on the first day, didn't know that her mother and brother went to see Ningyu and came back with a mission. Her first class starts at 8 o'clock. Shen Tianxing, accompanied by Du Guozixi personally, walked into the classroom of the Department of Traditional Chinese Medicine at 7:55. Du Guozixi watched Shen Tianxing find his seat and sit down, then he waved to her, left the Royal Academy, and returned to the military headquarters to continue training the newcomers. After 2 or 3 years of training, there are now thousands of Special Forces elites with special combat capabilities who have been personally trained by him. The military missions in the past 2 or 3 years, whether internal or external, have been completed very smoothly because of this powerful special team. The office of the Presidential Palace also personally issued a document commending Du Guozixi for his outstanding contributions to the country, society, and the people. The representatives of the parliament unanimously voted to formally award Duguzixi the military rank of Major General and enjoy the rank of General. Benefits and benefits. Duguzixi also broke the historical record of the military and became the youngest Major General of the military in the history of China. Although Duguzixi doesn't care about these worldly fame and fortune, this is the high expectation of his grandfathers and fathers, so he works hard to fulfill their wishes. Shen Tianxing is famous not only in their department of traditional Chinese medicine, but also in the entire Royal Academy. There are only 30 freshmen in the freshman class of their department of traditional Chinese medicine. When Shen Tianxing stepped into their classroom, all the students in the classroom immediately shut up. Today, Shen Tianxing is wearing a white retro dress. She has jet black hair, the first half of which is tied into a small bun in the middle of her head, and the second half of long hair is spread down her back, swaying as she moves. Her skin is as frosty as snow, her bright eyes are as bright as cold stars, her nose is pretty and straight, and her red lips are pink and rosy, exuding a charming luster. Her classmates all looked at Shen Tianxing in amazement. Some of them couldn't bear to look away when they saw her finding a seat to sit down. Someone whispered in admiration, "She is so beautiful." My goddess finally appears. She looks more beautiful in person than in the photos in the newspaper. Of course, haven't you noticed? The newspapers are all about Shen Tianxing's ID photos. She must be prettier in person than in her ID photos. I want to go over and get to know her. Do you want to go? I'll go too. Then let's go together. Someone can strengthen my courage together, he. It's a pity that just when the two female classmates wanted to come over, Cheng Ting'an, the counselor of the Department of Traditional Chinese Medicine, knocked on the classroom door and strode in. When the students saw Cheng Ting'an, they exclaimed again and again, "Wow, our class teacher is so handsome." Our Department of Traditional Chinese Medicine is so happy. There are beauties and handsome guys. Everyone laughed in unison, ha 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 ha. Shen Tianxing also laughed with everyone. She took a look at Cheng Ting'an's face. His hall was wide, his heaven was full, his sword-shaped eyebrows were long, his eyes were bright, and his palace was prominent. He was indeed a good-looking person. What surprised Shen Tianxing the most was that Cheng Ting'an was surrounded by a faint purple aura, proving that he should come from a powerful family. Could the wealthy family named Cheng be the family of Elder Cheng, one of the 9 council elders? If every small class teacher is a child of Elder Cheng's family, then the water in this Royal Academy is really deep. Shen Tianxing opened his eyes again and looked at the whole class one by one. As she expected, every student in the class had a different aura. Some students have a purple-red aura lingering on their bodies. Some students are surrounded by the auspicious aura of red. Some students also had a faint golden aura of merit lingering on their bodies. And the pure white air. But in this purple, red, yellow, and white color, there are actually 2 classmates with black and sinister aura lingering on their bodies. Shen Tianxing took a special look at these 2 classmates. They were a boy and a girl. The black aura on that male classmate's body was still slightly red, which proved that he came from a wealthy family, but he had done all kinds of bad things, resulting in his current karma. If he continues like this, sooner or later he will have to pay back the debts he has committed with his life. Another female classmate, like this male classmate, also has a hint of red in her black aura, which proves that they both come from wealthy families and have done all kinds of evil things. Seeing that the two of them were still sitting together and looking intimate, it seemed that the relationship between the two was extraordinary. Shen Tianxing just couldn't figure out why two such scumbags chose to study in the Department of Traditional Chinese Medicine. Generally speaking, people who choose to study the Department of Traditional Chinese Medicine either come from a medical family or are very interested in the subject of the Department of Traditional Chinese Medicine. But looking at these two scumbags, they obviously do not meet these two conditions. Could it be that someone forced them to study in the Department of Traditional Chinese Medicine? Shen Tianxing really guessed that the two of them were forced to study in the Department of Traditional Chinese Medicine of the Royal Academy by being tricked by others. Moreover, the person they are targeting to study here is her Shen Tianxing. While Shen Tianxing was looking at the whole class, the class teacher Cheng Tingan also took the registration book of the Department of Traditional Chinese Medicine and started to call the names. Chen Tianxing. The first name called was hers. Shen Tianxing was stunned for a moment, then stood up immediately and responded loudly, "Here we come." Cheng Tingan looked at her with a smile and said to her gently, "Okay, please sit down, Mr. Shen." Li Kai. Arrive. Fang Xiao. Arrive. When Shen Tianxing called the class teacher's roll call, he paid special attention to the names of the two scumbag classmates. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 253. One of them is called Tani Kawai and the other is named Ansumiko. What surprised and shocked Shen Tianxing was that they were all international students from the Kingdom of the Sun who came to the Royal Academy for exchange and study. This Royal Academy actually accepts exchange students from foreign countries? Shen Tianxing was a little confused. You said that other universities have foreign students, which is not difficult to understand. But this is the Royal Academy. This place is equivalent to a training base for a country's future ministers and pillars of aristocratic families, and even international students are admitted. Moreover, he is still an international student from the Sun country who hates the Chinese state-owned country. No matter what Shen Tianxing thought, he couldn't figure out what the purpose of this was. She remembered that she had heard someone say before that the Royal Academy only admitted children of nobles and aristocratic families, and never admitted students from abroad. She was afraid that these future important ministers and pillars of the aristocratic families would be infiltrated by foreign student spies, and what would happen to them? Things that are detrimental to the country come out. But now, this rule has been broken by these two students from the Kingdom of the Sun. Not only Shen Tianxing was surprised, but other students in the class were also surprised. The male classmate named Li Kai directly asked the question in his mind, "Class teacher, didn't our Royal College not admit international students before? Why should we make an exception this time?" That's right. Why make an exception? It feels so strange that two foreigners suddenly joined the class. It's like two outsiders suddenly broke into our circle. It's so embarrassing. I don't like people from the Kingdom of the Sun either. When I see them, I think of the time when they were invaded in the past, and I instinctively hate them. That is. Cheng Tingan heard the students below muttering and expressing their dissatisfaction, and quickly raised his hands and said to them, "Students, stop for a moment, stop for a moment." Seeing the class teacher speaking, even if the students in the class were dissatisfied, they could only suppress their inner emotions and calm down obediently. Cheng Tingan looked around at everyone and said to them sternly, "In school, your clumsy mentality is not allowed. You classmates should help each other and love each other. What you just said, I'll just pretend I didn't hear it and don't say it again in the future. Don't hold any prejudice against Tani Kawai and Asumiko. They really love and admire our Chinese medicine skills, so they came here to learn from us. Please help them more in the future, okay? No one in the class responded to Cheng Tingan's words. Cheng Tingan touched his nose awkwardly, then smiled and nodded at them. Okay, you guys have quite a personality. Okay, you can figure it out on your own. Let me remind you first, if any of you breaks school rules, I will never show mercy. Cheng Tingan's previous words made many students chuckle. But his last words caused another round of boos from the students. Cheng Tingan also felt helpless against these people. These guys all have extraordinary backgrounds and are so arrogant that if they don't have a few people with a few brushes, they really can't be conquered. Cheng Tingan didn't bother with them. He coughed lightly and said, "Now, students, come on stage one by one and introduce yourself. It is best to make the students in the class remember you at the first sight. Come on, the first student to come up to introduce me, Shen Tianxing, please come on stage and introduce yourself to everyone." As soon as Cheng Tingan finished speaking, everyone's eyes fell on Shen Tianxing. Shen Tianxing stood up gracefully and walked to the podium in full view of everyone. She raised her eyes and glanced at her classmates. Just like adjusting a scanner, she scanned the appearance of the entire class into her brain and stored it, so that she could call up their information at any time in the future. She smiled at everyone. "My name is Shen Tianxing. I come from Sioux City. I am not yet 15 years old this year. I like our country's traditional Chinese medicine very much. I also hope that our country's traditional Chinese medicine can be carried forward all over the world. I hope that in the future, in my college career, I can work hard with all my classmates and look forward to the future. Let's work hard together." At the end of the speech, Shen Tianxing winked at his classmates, showing off his cuteness, and shook his fist vigorously at everyone to express his hope. The students in the Department of Traditional Chinese Medicine obviously didn't expect that Shen Tianxing would have such a cute side. They all laughed and yelled along with her, "Come on." Shen Tianxing waved to them, walked off the stage with a smile, and returned to his seat. Their desks are arranged so that one person has a desk, and they also have their own independent space for school bags, sundries, and other things. The second classmate who came up to introduce himself was Li Kai. "My name is Li Kai. I am from Beijing. I have practiced martial arts. I have a somewhat fiery personality and love to fight against injustices. So, students, please don't mess with me in the future. If you do something bad, my fists are not good for you." Li Kai's words were deliberately directed at Tani Kawaii and Ansamaiko. He was just warning them that even if they entered the Royal Academy, they had to obey the rules obediently, otherwise, be careful of his fists. Shen Tianxing looked at Li Kai's resolute face and felt that he looked familiar. She quickly searched for people she knew in her brain, and the faces of General Li's family suddenly appeared in her mind. When the faces of old General Li and this Li Kai met, Shen Tianxing understood instantly. This Li Kai should be the grandson of General Li and Li Ming's cousin, right? The students came up one after another and introduced themselves. Tani Kawaii and Ansamaiko also went up. They simply showed the etiquette engraved in the bones of the Kingdom of the Sun to the fullest. Before speaking, they bowed to everyone, and after speaking, they bowed to everyone again. "Students, please bear with me. Please give me your advice. Thank you." Shen Tianxing didn't have a good impression of these people from the Kingdom of the Sun. He always felt that they were full of cold malice towards the people of the Kingdom of China. Especially the two people in front of him, no matter how well they disguised themselves, Shen Tianxing, who had opened his eyes, could still detect their malice toward his classmates, especially her. They definitely have bad intentions. She doesn't care what the reason is for them to enter the Royal Academy as international students. If they behave themselves, it's fine. If they want to do anything to China or her, then she will never be polite to them. After all the students had introduced themselves, The class teacher Chen Tingen allowed the students to move around freely and communicate with each other. They would not come in the afternoon and the formal class would start tomorrow. Chen Tingen left amid the cheers of his classmates. Li Kai, Fang Xiaoxiao, and the others immediately rushed towards Shen Tianxing. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 254. Li Kai looked at Shen Tianxing with bright eyes, as if seeing a treasure, and said to her excitedly, "Little miracle doctor, I have long admired your name. I have met you today. Hello, hello, let me introduce myself by the way, I am Li Ming's cousin, Li Kai." Shen Tianxing smiled softly at him, "I guess that your appearance is somewhat similar to that of General Li." "Yeah." Li Kai touched his resolute face, laughed heartily and said, "Ha ha ha, this is the only face I can see." Shen Tianxing and the classmates surrounding her all laughed out loud at Li Kai's narcissistic look. Fang Xiaoxiao squeezed Li Kai away and said to Shen Tianxing enthusiastically, "Little miracle doctor, I am Fang Xiaoxiao, from the Fang family of the royal courtyard. Hello, hello. I heard that your medical skills are superb, so why do you want to come to the Royal Academy to study?" Shen Tianxing smiled lightly and explained to them, as the saying goes, if three people are together, there must be a teacher. I learned all my medical skills from my teacher, but I never went to university, so besides coming in to experience it, besides college life, I also want to get to know more classmates and learn more other knowledge. Fang Xiaoxiao's eyes lit up when she heard that she wanted to get to know more classmates. "Then can we play with you in the future?" Shen Tianxing took a look at Fang Xiaoxiao's face and found that she had a very good face. She was destined to be rich and prosperous in her life. She had clear eyebrows, a cheerful personality, and was generous. She was a friend worth making. Shen Tianxing smiled and nodded, "Okay. We can play together in the future." Li Kai also came up immediately, there's me. "Little miracle doctor, if you have anything to do in the future or where you want to go, don't forget me. I can serve you all the time." "Oh, yes, this is what my old man specially told me, saying that you are my old man's life savior, so I must repay your life-saving grace. Don't refuse, give me a chance to serve, so that I can have a chance. Behave well in front of my old man." Shen Tianxing smiled helplessly, "Old general, you are so polite. I saved him, and your family has already paid my medical expenses, so everything is settled. Don't say anything about saving his life, why should I retaliate? Besides, saving lives and healing the wounded is what we doctors should do, don't you think?" Li Kai chuckled, "That's what I said, but we have to remember this life-saving grace." Tanikawa and Ansumiko, who were listening to their conversation outside the circle of classmates, their eyes lit up when they heard Shen Tianxing say, "Saving lives and healing the wounded is what we doctors should do." Ansumiko asked Tanagawa in a low voice, "Tanagawa-kun, do you think she would agree if we directly invited her to go to our Sun Kingdom to help treat the Lord's illness?" Tanagawa's eyes flashed, "It's hard to say. Let's not worry, it's still early for the 3-month deadline. Let's find out her temperament first, and try to hit it with one hit." While Shen Tianxing was chatting with Li Kai, Fang Xiaoxiao and the others, he was also monitoring Tanikawa and Ansumiko with his spiritual consciousness. When he heard their conversation, Shen Tianxing realized that the two of them wanted to invite her to the Sun Kingdom to treat her illness. But Shen Tianxing always felt that this matter was not that simple. If they just went to the Kingdom of the Sun to treat this lord, could they go to such great lengths to arrange for someone to sneak into the Royal Academy? They might as well use diplomatic means to directly pressure China to hire people. Wouldn't it be better and faster? Shen Tianxing, who couldn't figure out the underlying reason, didn't think about it. She believed that as long as they had evil intentions towards her, they would always take action. When the time comes, her troops will come to the generals, and the water will come to cover them. No matter what moves come her way, she will have a way to deal with them. Just as Shen Tianxing was thinking about it, he heard Li Kai say, "Little miracle doctor, I'm going to treat you to dinner at noon today, how about a favor?" Since Shen Tianxing came to school, he naturally wanted to integrate into their lives. It was okay anyway, so he nodded directly, "Okay, let's go out to eat together. Who else among you wants to go together? Hurry up and sign up. It's rare that Li Kai's treat, we have to kill him hard, ha ha ha." Everyone also laughed. Fang Xiaoxiao was the first to raise her hands and said, "I want to go too. I also need to go. I am coming too. And I." Li Kai was there like a living treasure, bowing his hands and begging for mercy. "Oh, all heroes and heroes, I don't have much money in my pocket, so I beg you heroes to be merciful." He actually wanted to treat Shen Tianxing to a meal in private and make friends. Now that he saw so many people rushing to have dinner with Shen Tianxing, he had no choice but to do so. Everyone knows very well that Shen Tianxing is the future princess and may become the future MRS president in any minute. If we don't build a good relationship now, then when? At the end of the fight, not one of the 30 students in the entire class of traditional Chinese medicine passed away without landing. Even Tanikawa and Asamiko shamelessly followed. When Shen Tianxing saw that the whole class was going, he quickly said to Li Kai, "Li Kai, please call the class teacher too." Li Kai understood instantly, quickly took out his mobile phone and called Cheng Tingan, "Hey, class teacher, I'm inviting Shen Tianxing and the others to dinner at noon. The whole class is here. Are you free? Come together." When Cheng Tingan heard that they were all there, he readily agreed, "Okay, then I'll join in the fun." "Where are you going to eat?" Li Kai replied, "I have booked the largest private room in the Yang family restaurant right next to the college. When you come over, just tell me my name." Cheng Tingan smiled and said, "Okay, see you later." "See you later." Li Kai put away his cell phone, smiled and said to Shen Tianxing and the others, "Okay, let's go." Shen Tianxing also discovered now that Cheng Tingan, Li Kai and Fang Xiaoxiao were all children of the elders in the royal compound. They must have known each other from time to time. But they were all in the same department as her, which was too coincidental. Could it be that their family arranged it this way on purpose? However, regardless of whether their family arranged this intentionally or not, Shen Tianxing only looked at the other person's character when interacting with others, and would never compromise for the sake of the other person's family background and status. She is very picky about making friends. And for friends who can truly gain her approval, she will do her best to help them, and they will definitely be the same in the future. The Yang family private restaurant is said to be opened by descendants of the Yang family, a family of royal chefs. The Yang family's ancestors have been royal chefs for several generations. Their cooking skills are very good, and everyone who has eaten there is full of praise. Since the heirs of the Yang family opened this private restaurant, business has been booming. If you don't make a reservation in advance, you can't even think of eating here. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 255. Yang's private restaurant is a converted courtyard with 3 entrances. It has a beautiful environment and is very elegantly decorated with flowers, plants, and small trees. Li Kai originally only planned to invite Shen Tianxing and a few close friends to dinner, so when he made a reservation at the Yang family restaurant, he only booked a private room that could seat about 10 people. But I didn't expect that with Shen Tianxing's words, the whole class would rush over. Fortunately, Li Kai's face is big enough. He told the boss Yang Yaozong in detail the identity of the guests he invited today. Yang Yaozong was also a smart man. He knew that the host and guest that Li Kai wanted to invite was the future crown princess, so he immediately vacated the best 3-entry private room in the courtyard for them to use first. Li Kai thanked Yang Yaozong repeatedly on his mobile phone. Uncle Yang, thank you so much today. Thank you. Yang Yaozong laughed and cursed, you brat, what are you saying to say thank you to me? If you have a chance, give Uncle Yang some of that good wine that your grandpa treasures, so that Uncle Yang can satisfy my cravings. I have to do it well, thanks. How about you? As soon as he mentioned that precious wine, Li Kai said helplessly, oh, Uncle Yang, don't tell me, my grandpa's precious wine, he kept a close eye on it and kept it locked in the safe. No one can get it except him. Even if we want to take a sip, he won't give it to us. Yang Yaozong didn't give up and said, then keep an eye on it and make me a drink when you get the chance. How about you? Li Kai chuckled and said, this is no problem, no problem. Yang Yaozong also knew that enough was enough, so he smiled and said, okay, then I will arrange a private room and dishes for you. I will ensure that I serve you my best dishes so that you can have a good time. Li Kai smiled and thanked again, then I'd like to thank Uncle Yang. Yang Yaozong said grandly, you're welcome, I'll hang up now. Li Kai replied again, okay, Uncle Yang, you are busy. Hearing the beep of hanging up from Yang Yaozong's end, Li Kai put away his cell phone. Speaking of the Yang family's private restaurant, 3 generations of the Yang family have friends with the Li family. Old General Li and the old man of the Yang family had a lifelong friendship. It is said that during the anti-Japanese war, the old man of the Yang family saved the life of General Li and hid him in the cellar of the kitchen so that he could escape from the kingdom of the sun. The Japanese were chasing him. Yang Yaozong, the current owner of Yang's private restaurant, and Li Kai's father, Li Hejian, played together since childhood and had a close friendship since childhood. Li Kai's generation naturally had friendship with Yang Yaozong's son Yang Lai. Over the past few decades, the relationship between several generations can be said to have gone through ups and downs. The friendship that has never been broken, and added together, the two families can really be said to be life and death friends. The good wine that Yang Yaozong mentioned was the spiritual wine that Shen Tianxing gave to old General Li. Before the Chinese New Year, General Li received a New Year's gift from Shen Tianxing. When he saw that there were 2 bottles of spiritual wine and 2 boxes of spiritual tea, he was extremely happy. While none of his family members came back, he immediately took out the spirit wine, poured himself a full glass, and sat on the sofa alone, tasting it with gusto. Just when the old man was enjoying his wine tasting, Yang Yaozong came over to give his family a New Year gift. Yang Yaozong is a great gourmet. His nose, it can be said, is more sensitive than that of a hunting dog. As soon as he entered the door of Li's house, he immediately smelled the mouth-watering aroma of wine. The old glutton sniffed hard and felt the aroma of the wine. Just smelling it like this made everyone feel much more refreshed. He has been in the catering industry for decades, but he has never smelled such a delicious and effective wine aroma, let alone drank it. Yang Yaozong held the New Year's gift in both hands and hurriedly followed the smell and ran to General Li. Yang Yaozong swallowed when he saw the enticing aroma of spirit wine in General Li's cup. He quickly put down the gift in his hand, smiled at old General Li and said, Uncle Li, this wine of yours is really good. Where did you get this treasure? Can you give your nephew a sip? Just one sip. Okay. Seeing the greedy look on his face, old General Li couldn't help but smile smugly and showed off to him, this wine is a good thing that even money can't buy. Drinking it can prolong your life. What, you want to drink too? Yang Yaozong nodded vigorously, I think. I really want to. I really want to. But old General Li suddenly grinned at him and said, you want to drink? No way. I only get so much wine this whole year. If you take a sip and he takes a sip, how can I drink it? Come here, give Boss Yang a cup of good tea. Yang Yaozong rolled his eyes, and an evil idea came up. He suddenly took out a red rectangular gift box from the pile of New Year gifts, held it in front of General Li with both hands, and said with a smile, "Uncle Li, this is a gift I specially asked someone to pick for you, do you like it?" Old General Li was indeed fooled, put down the wine glass in his hand, and took the red gift box in his hand with both hands. Yang Yaozong immediately grabbed the wine glass old General Li had put down with quick eyesight and hands, and poured the remaining half of the wine in his glass into his mouth. Then he closed his eyes and tasted it slowly. When old General Li saw that he drank all the spiritual wine in the cup, he was so angry that he yelled at him, "You stinky boy! How dare you fool me? I'll beat you to death if I don't." By the time the old man's fist hit Yang Yaozong had already tasted the most delicious spiritual wine in the world in the blink of an eye. This time, although Yang Yaozong received a few punches from General Li, he was reminded of this marketable but priceless top-notch wine. It's a pity that Yang Yaozong kept asking General Li about the source of this spiritual wine, but General Li refused to tell him. Yang Yaozong was helpless and turned to ask Li Hejian about this matter. In the end, Li Hejian was the same. He just said to him mysteriously, "Azong, there are some things. Just know it in your heart. Don't ask around, and don't tell it. Otherwise, not only will you not get good results, but we will also the Li family can't bear it, do you understand?" Yang Yaozong doesn't understand. But when he saw that Li Hejian took the matter so seriously, he temporarily stopped thinking about it and did not dare to ask them any more. However, the more the Li family didn't say anything, the more Yang Yaozong couldn't let go of it. He always kept this in mind, and he never forgot the taste of the wine. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 256. When Li Kai led Shen Tianxing, Fang Xiaoxiao and their classmates to Yang's private restaurant, Yang Yaozong's wife Pan Haizu was already waiting at the gate with a group of employees. Although the proprietress Pan Haizu is in her 40s, she looks like she is in her early 30s because she takes good care of herself. She was wearing a smart professional suit. She was slender and tall, with a bun on her head. She looked dignified and beautiful, and had a friendly smile on her face, the kind of friendliness that makes people smile before they speak. When she stood at the door, she looked up and saw Li Kai's figure in the distance. She had already smiled and greeted him, making everyone feel her enthusiasm and welcome. "Xiao Kai, you are here." She said hello to Li Kai first, then waved enthusiastically to Shen Tianxing and other students. "Hello, classmates. Welcome to Yang's private restaurant, please come inside." The lobby manager and several waiters accompanying Pan Haizu also said enthusiastically, "Dear guests, please come in." Li Kai felt that Pan Haizu personally greeted him with the lobby manager and waiters, so he felt very useful and gained face. He also smiled and said to Pan Haizu, "Aunt Pan, thank you. You actually came out to greet me in person. You are so polite." Pan Haizu said with an angry smile, "I'm not here to greet you. Do you still need me to greet you? I'm here to welcome you classmates." Seeing that Pan Haizu deliberately used words to hurt Li Kai also pretended to be a bitch, making all the classmates laugh. Pan Haizu smiled and said to Shen Tianxing and others, "It's hot outside, please come in and sit down." Yang Yaozong had reminded his wife before that this Shen Tianxing was the real distinguished guest that Li Kai was going to entertain today and the future crown princess, so he asked her to greet him well and not to offend him. Pan Haizu naturally woke up very energetic and came to greet them. But she was afraid of going too far and appearing too deliberate. Therefore, she did not greet Shen Tianxing in particular, but greeted everyone together, so that everyone could feel her warm treatment, and no one felt embarrassed or ignored. A person's quality can often be seen by looking at the details. Seeing Pan Haizu's behavior, Shen Tianxing spoke highly of her. Judging from her appearance, she is a shrewd, generous, and capable woman. This Pan Haizhu is born to do business. Led by Pan Haizhu, the group arrived at the third courtyard of Yang's private restaurant. Shen Tianxing looked at the exquisitely maintained courtyard and the spacious and bright living room and private rooms, and a trace of surprise and satisfaction flashed through her clear eyes. Pan Haizhu has been secretly observing Shen Tianxing's expression. When she saw that Shen Tianxing was not dissatisfied, she felt relieved. Shen Tianxing naturally saw her relieved expression and couldn't help but snicker secretly in his heart. In fact, she is easy to talk to and not so intimidating, okay. Besides, she is just Tugo Zixi's fiancée now, so they really don't need to treat her so seriously. She would also feel more comfortable if they just treated her like a normal student. Not long after they sat down, class teacher Cheng Tingan rushed over. Their 30 students, plus Cheng Tingan, totaled 31 people, divided into 3 large tables to sit at. Li Kai asked Cheng Tingan to take the main seat at the main table, while he and Shen Tianxing sat on either side of Cheng Tingan. These students who can enter the Royal Academy are all children of nobles and aristocratic families. The etiquette and politeness they need to learn from an early age is the rules of seating arrangements for meals. Depending on your status, you should sit where you should. These are all strictly agreed upon rules. There is absolutely no random seating. Once you sit in someone else's seat, it would be better if you sit lower down. If you sit in someone else's high seat, you will give people a bad impression of being rude, ignorant of rules, or even poorly educated. As a child of a wealthy family, everything you say and do outside represents the heritage of your family. Children of wealthy families who are truly well established cherish their feathers very much outside and will not act recklessly for trivial matters, let alone damage the image of themselves and their family. Generally speaking, most of the children of wealthy families who dare to misbehave outside are those who are relatives or those who do not hold power in wealthy families and only take money. Of course, it is not ruled out that there are some direct descendants who are not stingy. Their classmates in the Department of Traditional Chinese Medicine, except for the 2 unpopular foreign students from the Kingdom of the Sun, the rest are all very well-behaved people. But Tanikawa and Asamiko are also scheming and patient people. Even though others arranged them to the last table, they bowed politely and said thank you, which made other students completely lose their temper and had no choice but to ignore them. Apart from this bit of discomfort, everything else is fine. Li Kai and Cheng Tingan are both good talkers and good at stirring up the atmosphere. Everyone is talking and laughing. When the famous delicious dishes of Yang's private kitchen were served, even Shen Tianxing, who was used to eating spiritual food, was amazed by their cooking skills and ate a lot of Yang's dishes. When everyone had finished eating, the boss Yang Yaozong also came over to toast them. Yang Yaozong is tall and fat, with a fat head and big ears, and a bald head, but the smile on his face is very pleasing to the eye. He is about 1.85 meters tall and weighs at least 180 kilograms. He has an overwhelming aura. Yang Yaozong first greeted everyone, "Hello everyone. I am Yang Yaozong, the owner and chef of Yang's private restaurant. I wonder how the dish tastes today? Are you satisfied with it? If you have any comments, please let me know. I will definitely improve, I will definitely improve." Li Kai smiled condescendingly and said, "With Uncle Yang here, how can this dish not be delicious? Uncle Yang, come on, come on, come and sit, let us uncle and nephew have a few drinks." Yang Yaozong is also a generous and cheerful man. Hearing Li Kai's words, he smiled politely and said, "Okay, let us uncle and nephew have a nice drink today." When he walked to Li Kai's side, his sensitive nose suddenly smelled a familiar smell. It was that scent of wine that he could never forget. He sniffed hard again. "That's right. This is the smell." Yang Yaozong followed the sense of smell from his nose and sniffed one by one in the direction of the smell. Li Kai couldn't help laughing when he saw Yang Yaozong suddenly transformed into a military dog again. I said, "Uncle Yang, what are you doing? Did you smell something precious again?" Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 257. Yang Yaozong made a gesture to him, indicating that he should stop talking and stop interrupting his work. There was naturally no smell of spiritual wine on Cheng Tingan's body. Yang Yaozong came closer to smell Shen Tianxing again, and sniffed vigorously at the scent of Shen Tianxing. Shen Tianxing felt that he was made uncomfortable by Yang Yaozong's smelling action, as if she was the piece of meat under the nose of the military dog. He couldn't help but frown slightly and lean to the side. Seeing that Shen Tianxing was a little unhappy, Li Kai shouted nervously, "Uncle Yang, please pay attention, this is..." Before he could finish speaking, Yang Yaozong interrupted him excitedly, "I know. I know. This is the future crown princess. The fragrance of the wine I smell comes from this future crown princess. It came from my body." Ha 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 ha. Li Kai asked with a puzzled look on his face, "What is the fragrance of wine?" Yang Yaozong explained to him excitedly, "It's the fine wine your grandfather drank, the fine wine that is not sold on the market. Do you understand?" After Yang Yaozong finished speaking, he winked at Li Kai. Li Kai suddenly realized this. Then, Li Kai chuckled and said, "Uncle Yang, is your nose really smarter than a military dog? We didn't drink that wine just now, can you really smell it?" Speaking of his extremely sensitive nose, Yang Yaozong said with a smile on his face, "Don't tell me, as long as it's the smell I've smelled, I will never forget it. What's more, your grandfather's wine, I just after drinking it once, I will never forget it again. I really never forget it. I thought to myself, if I could find such a fine wine again and drink a few more glasses, my life would be satisfied. This matter is all it has become my obsession." Everyone looked at him in surprise, wondering in their hearts, what kind of wine tastes so good? Can this old gourmet, who is known as a gourmet, praise it and never forget it? In the royal compound, the Li family, the Cheng family, and the Fang family, who had a good relationship with the Dugu family, were favored by Mr. Dugu and the old lady. They had all received spiritual wine and spiritual tea from Shen Tianxing. But their old man treasured the spiritual wine and spiritual tea as much as General Li. Li Kai, Cheng Tingan, and Fang Xiaoxiao naturally knew what the wine Yang Yaozong was talking about. Yang Yaozong's words were really not exaggerated at all. Even after they drank, they kept thinking about it. But the elders of their families all took the spirit wine and spirit tea very seriously, and would not let them touch it unless they took it out themselves to share it with their families. When it comes to this spiritual wine, they are also very itchy. Shen Tianxing also reacted and asked Yang Yaozong with a smile, "Boss Yang, do you really want to drink this spiritual wine?" Yang Yaozong nodded very firmly, "I really want to. I really want to. I'm even dreaming about it." Seeing his serious look, Shen Tianxing couldn't help but tease him, "Boss Yang, if I give you a bottle of this wine, can I get rid of today's order?" When Yang Yaozong heard what she said, his eyes suddenly brightened up. He waved his hand and said, "Free. Of course it's free. As long as you can reward me with a bottle of that wine, not to mention today's order is free. If you come to eat in the future, I'll give it to you free of charge. How about it?" Shen Tianxing looked at his heroic look and smiled again, "Boss Yang, please don't keep your word." Yang Yaozong slapped his chest, Yang Yaozong, keep my word." With so many people witnessing it, and Xiao Kai, Mr. Cheng, and Miss Fang, the princess is here. "Princess, don't worry. If I, Yang Yaozong, keep my word, let them destroy me." Shen Tianxing laughed and said, "Okay. Boss Yang is indeed a cheerful person. Come, I will take this bottle of wine in exchange for your promise today. Everyone will be a witness. If Boss Yang can't do it in the future, I'm coming to destroy your store. Yang Yaozong saw Shen Tianxing take out a bottle of wine from his backpack. He raised his eyes and saw a blue and white antique wine bottle with only 5 ancient characters printed on it, Tianji Pavilion and Ling Nian. Yang Yaozong stretched out his hands, carefully picked up the wine bottle, and pulled out the cork. A strong aroma of wine rushed out of the bottle instantly. As soon as everyone present smelled the aroma of this wine, they felt refreshed, and their bodies instinctively longed for a few sips of this wine to enjoy themselves. Yang Yaozong was ecstatic when he smelled the scent of the spirit wine that he had always remembered. Sure enough, it was exactly the same as the smell of alcohol in General Li's house. As soon as Yang Yaozong saw the wolf-like eyes of everyone, he quickly put the cork back, hugged the bottle tightly in his arms, as if he was afraid of being snatched away by others, and said to Shen Tianxing hastily, "Prince Concubine, if you want to thank me, I, Yang Yaozong, will not say anything. The promise I made to you just now will be valid for you as long as I, Yang Yaozong, are here for one day. I will take my leave now and see you later." After saying that, he hurriedly carried the spirit wine and left. By the time everyone reacted, Yang Yaozong had already disappeared. Thinking of that mouth-watering fine wine, Li Kai looked at Shen Tianxing with a flattering smile and asked, "Little miracle doctor, do you still have that fine wine?" Shen Tianxing glanced at him with a smile. "What, you want to drink too?" Li Kai nodded vigorously, "I think. I really want to. Even in my dreams." Shen Tianxing was amused by his exaggerated expression and tone. Similar words, Yang Yaozong just said it, it was serious. But when it came out of Li Kai's mouth, coupled with the fawning expression on his face, Shen Tianxing couldn't help but want to laugh. "Okay. Since you are so sincere in treating me, I will be generous today and bring out another bottle for you to enjoy the taste. There is only one bottle of wine, and there is no more." Li Kai and Cheng Tingen were overjoyed. "One bottle is enough, that's enough. Even if it's not enough, they dare not say it. If they say so, they are going too far. It's not easy for someone's little miracle doctor to bring out a bottle of spiritual wine. You know, for a bottle of spiritual wine like this, someone has already offered 1 million yuan to buy it privately. But even if they pay 1 million yuan, no one is willing to take out the wine they have in exchange for money. After all, those who are qualified to get this kind of spiritual wine are not short of money." Seeing that Shen Tianxing actually took out another bottle of spiritual wine from her backpack, everyone cheered. Li Kai took the wine from Shen Tianxing's hand diligently, unscrewed the cork, and quickly filled it with Shen Tianxing and Cheng Tingen first. Then, he filled it for himself and Fang Xiaoxiao. Finally, I poured half a small cup for each of the other students, which is half of the small cup used for drinking white wine. In this short period of time, Li Kai fell down and felt distressed once. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 258. He really wanted to take possession of this bottle of spiritual brew. Just such a bottle of wine, shared by 31 people, is indeed a bit too little. When Li Kai poured the wine to the students behind him, what they got was only 1/3 of the small cup, which was not even enough for one sip. But no one dares to dislike it. If they opened their mouths to dislike it, they might not even get a sip of wine because Li Kai would snatch it away. By the time Li Kai reached the last two, Tanikawa and Asamiko, there was not even a sip left, only half a sip. He could only taste the legendary wine with his tongue, wanting to taste it slowly. "Don't think about it." Asamiko looked at the small amount of wine in the wine glass that could only cover the bottom. She felt like they were sending away beggars, and a trace of anger flashed in her eyes. Just when she was about to get up to have a seizure, Tanikawa reached out and held her down, preventing her from getting up. After receiving the warning and murderous intent from Tanaka Wiseeyes, Ansamiko had to restrain her temper and resume her appearance as an obedient lady. Shen Tianxing, who had been monitoring their every move with his consciousness, couldn't help but sneer secretly in his heart. She wanted to see how long these two people from the Kingdom of the Sun could endure before taking action against her. Besides, Yang Yaozong got the bottle of spiritual wine and held it in his arms with excitement, ready to rush back to his room and drink 2 drinks secretly. Who knew that he had just walked out of the door of Shen Tianxing's box, and within a few steps, he met the famous drunkard in the capital. This wine addict, named Lu Zhengchun, comes from a winemaking family. The titles hanging on his head include, National Master of Wine Appraisal, President of the Winemaking Technology Association, Member of the China National Liquor Industry Committee, etc. Because Lu Zhengchun came from a winemaking family, it can be said that he grew up soaking in wine vats since he was a child. His favorite things in life are making wine, drinking wine, and tasting wine. As soon as the topic of wine came up, he couldn't help but get excited, and when he spoke, he was even more confident. Wine and food are often inseparable. Lu Zhengchun liked to eat food from the Yang family's private restaurant, and he would eat it for 20 or 30 years. And he and his boss Yang Yaozong became close friends. Yang Yaozong made new delicious dishes and would ask him to come over and taste them together. When Lu Zhengchun brewed a new good wine, he would bring it to Yang Yaozong to taste it with him. Today, Lu Zhengchun and a group of friends came to Yang's private restaurant to eat and drink. He drank too much and got a little drunk, so he wanted to go for a walk to relieve the drunkenness. As soon as he went out, he saw Yang Yaozong coming out of the main hall of the third courtyard. As an old friend of Yang Yaozong, Lu Zhengchun certainly knew that Yang Yaozong usually did not open the main hall where he entered the hospital. The guest who allowed him to open the door to welcome guests was definitely not an ordinary person. Lu Zhengchun saw Yang Yaozong's secretly happy expression and wondered if the old boy had gained any benefit from it. "Why are you so happy?" When he took a closer look, Lu Zhengchun saw the wine bottle that Yang Yaozong was holding tightly in his arms, and his eyes suddenly brightened. Can the wine that Yang Yaozong holds in his arms like a treasure be an ordinary fine wine? What's more, this wine is taken from the main hall of Sanjinyuan. It must be at least a special grade wine? Lu Zhengchun felt his throat itchy at the thought of drinking fine wine. Without thinking, he followed Yang Yaozong and followed him. Sure enough, he saw Yang Yaozong sneaking into his room. Just when Yang Yaozong was about to close the door for wine tasting, Lu Zhengchun rushed over and blocked Yang Yaozong from closing the door. As soon as Yang Yaozong saw that Lu Zhengchun was a drunkard, he knew something was wrong. He glared angrily and shouted dissatisfied, "Lu Zhengchun, what are you doing here?" In order to drink the fine wine, Lu Zhengchun gave up his face. He pretended not to see Yang Yaozong's dissatisfaction, and said with a playful smile, "Old Yang, do you know that you just got a bottle of good wine from the main hall? What's the matter, you want to drink alone? That won't work. As the saying goes, yes, whoever sees it has a share, whoever sees it has a share." Yang Yaozong is going to be mad at him. He had been suffering for more than 9 months since the Chinese New Year last year. He finally got this opportunity to beg a bottle of spiritual wine from Shen Tianxing, but before he even took a sip, he was stared at by this old drunkard. On. If this old drunkard drinks it, can he still keep his drink? Yang Yaozong thought for a while, then came up with a way, and chuckled at Lu Zhengchun, "You want to drink? Okay, I'll get you a bottle." Yang Yaozong turned around and entered the room, and quickly got Lu Zhengchun a bottle of their Yang family's 30-year-old secret wine. Normally, he would not even be willing to drink this wine. But the wine passed down from his family is incomparable to Shen Tianxing's spiritual wine in terms of taste and efficacy. One is ordinary wine and the other is spiritual wine. Can they be compared? As soon as Lu Zhengchun saw that the bottle was different from the one he saw just now, he knew that Yang Yaozong had put away the bottle of wine he had just held in his arms and wanted to drink some home-brewed wine. Of course Lu Zhengchun also knew that Yang Yaozong usually regarded this 30-year-old secret wine as a treasure, but today, in order to keep the bottle of wine he was holding just now, he did not hesitate to push out his own treasure wine as a treasure. Shield. Yang Yaozong's move also confirmed Lu Zhengchun's previous speculation. The bottle of wine Yang Yaozong was holding just now was definitely not an ordinary good wine. Lu Zhengchun immediately pushed back the 30-year secret wine of the Yang family that Yang Yaozong had taken out, and said to Yang Yaozong with a smile, "Old Yang, what I want to drink is not this wine, but the bottle of wine you just brought back." Before Yang Yaozong could refuse, Lu Zhengchun said with a rogue expression, "Let me tell you, if you don't let me drink that wine, then from today onwards, I will stay at your house." Yang Yaozong was so angry at his scoundrel that he wanted to kick him away. If this old drunkard doesn't let him have an easy time, then he can't make the old drunkard have an easy time either. Yang Yaozong looked at Lu Zhengchun and said with a smile, "You want that wine? Okay. Bring me 100,000 yuan and I'll share a glass with you." When Lu Zhengchun heard that a cup was worth 100,000 yuan, he immediately yelled at his friend, "Damn it, Yang Yaozong, have you fallen in love with money? A cup of 100,000 yuan? Why don't you go and grab it?" Yang Yaozong snorted coldly, 100,000 a cup is a bargain for you. If it weren't for your shameless behavior, I wouldn't sell it to you even 100,000 a cup. Do you believe it? If you don't want it, then you can leave. When Lu Zhengchun heard what Yang Yaozong said, he immediately took out his checkbook, quickly filled out a check for 100,000 yuan, tore it off and stuffed it into Yang Yaozong. Here. Here you go. I want to drink it and see, you are like this, what kind of wine is worth 100,000 yuan a glass. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 259. Yang Yaozong looked at him blankly, took another look at the check in his hand, and exclaimed, "Damn it, old drunkard, I just wanted you old guy to get out of here, and you actually gave it to me." Lu Zheng chuckled loudly, "You can't think of that, right?" Yang Yaozong didn't want to be polite to him, he just kept the check and said with a smile, "Well, since you must drink it, for the sake of your 100,000 yuan, I will sell you a cup and let you have a taste of this, the best wine in the world that no wine can match." "Is there no wine in the world?" Hearing Yang Yaozong's exaggerated adjective, Lu Zhengchun raised his eyebrows and sneered, "Old Yang, are you exaggerating?" Yang Yaozong did not argue with him, and only said to him, "Facts speak louder than words. Come in quickly, close the door, and let us have a good taste of this top-notch wine. I guarantee that you will never forget it after drinking it." Yang Yaozong brought 2 small wine glasses and asked Lu Zhengchun to sit down in front of the table. Lu Zhengchun looked at the 2 small wine glasses and glanced at Yang Yaozong with contempt. "I said, Lao Yang, are you going too far? For 100,000 yuan, you just gave me such a small glass. Wine. Are you feeling guilty?" Yang Yaozong glanced at him sideways, "Are you going to drink or not? If you don't want to drink, I can return the check to you in minutes." Seeing Yang Yaozong actually taking out the check, Lu Zhengchun was speechless for a moment and could only stare at him angrily, with an angry look on his face. Yang Yaozong continued to sneer at him, "You think I care about your stinky money, old drunkard? I tell you, no matter where you go to inquire about this wine, no matter how much money you have, you can't buy it. The market is priceless, understand?" Lu Zhengchun rolled his eyes at him, "Come on, you've been bragging here for a long time, and I'm tired of hearing it. Stop talking nonsense and pour the wine. Pour the wine. Yang Yaozong snorted softly, and then forcefully uncorked the wine bottle. As soon as the aroma of the wine wafted out, Lu Zhengchun inhaled hard, and then he closed his eyes, looking intoxicated. Yang Yaozong looked at Lu Zhengchun's performance as if he was seeing himself drinking this wine for the first time. The feeling and taste will be unforgettable forever. When the wine was poured into the glass, Lu Zhengchun suddenly opened his eyes, quickly grabbed the wine glass with both hands, and then picked it up carefully, for fear of spilling a little bit. Yang Yaozong didn't hurt him at all. Although the cup was not big, he still poured him a full cup. Lu Zhengchun's skill in serving wine could be considered perfected after decades of drinking. With such a full bottle of wine, he managed not to spill a drop. He brought the wine glass to his mouth and took a sip through his nose. Then, he took a small sip. The spirit wine swirled on the tip of his tongue several times, and Lu Zhengchun savored the feeling brought by the spirit wine. Sweet, mellow. It can instantly cool and refresh the brain. There is also a long and sweet taste in the mouth, which makes people have endless aftertaste. Good wine. Really top quality wine. Lu Zhengchun tasted this first sip of spiritual wine for a long time before swallowing it with reluctance. After the spiritual wine entered his stomach, Lu Zhengchun was surprised to find that the functions and taste of this spiritual wine were only incidental to it. The real benefits could only be realized after it entered his stomach. As soon as the spiritual wine entered his stomach, a warm current instantly spread from his stomach and surged throughout his body. After this person reaches middle age, he will always have physical problems of one kind or another. But now, Lu Zhengchun found that with the influx of this warm current, the soreness, pain, and stagnation in his body seemed to be much better. Lu Zhengchun's eyes widened instantly, he looked at Yang Yaozong, and asked in disbelief, "Brother, this wine and its effect are the most important, right?" Yang Yaozong nodded proudly, "Of course. This wine is not an ordinary wine, it is spiritual wine. Spiritual wine. Spiritual wine that can strengthen the body and prolong life. Have you heard of it?" Lu Zhengchun's eyes widened even more. "You mean, this is the legendary spirit wine? No wonder, no wonder, no wonder you said it's worth 100,000. If it really has this function, even if it's 1,000,000 cups, and there are people buying it." He finished speaking with a shocked look on his face and took another sip of wine. This time, he closed his eyes and observed the magical effects of this spiritual wine with a more meticulous attitude. When Lu Zhengchun finished his glass of wine, he felt warm all over his body, as comfortable as soaking in a hot spring. He stood up, raised his hands towards Yang Yaozong, and bowed, "Thank you so much, Brother Yang, for allowing me to taste such a magical wine on earth." As expected, as Brother Yang said, if you only drink this kind of wine once, you will never forget it for the rest of your life. Yang Yaozong quickly helped him up and laughed loudly, "I said it tastes good. You think I lied to you? You don't know. For this bottle of wine, I promised someone that as long as she comes to our Yang family I will always eat for free at a private restaurant. Tell me, I charge you 100,000 yuan for a cup. Is it expensive?" Lu Zhengchun was now impressed by this spiritual wine and quickly shook his head, "It's not expensive. It's not expensive. It's not expensive at all." He said to Yang Yaozong with emotion, "Think about it, at the Foreign Devil's top wine auction some time ago, several bottles of foreign wine were sold for more than 1,000,000 yuan. That wine has no effect, it is just the brand and taste are far less good than this spiritual wine. If this spiritual wine can be put on the market, it will definitely shock the whole world. By the way, Brother Yang, do you know this wine-making master?" Yang Yaozong shook his head, "I don't know. I only know that this spiritual wine comes from this hidden section unless a disciple of this sect is willing to give it to me, otherwise, no matter how much money you have, you will not be able to buy this spiritual wine liquor." Yang Yaozong said while pointing to the words Tianji Pavilion. Lu Zhengchun frowned, Tianji Pavilion? I don't think I've heard of it. Yang Yaozong smiled mysteriously, quietly walked up to him, and said in a low voice, if you haven't heard of it, that's right. I heard that this Tianji Pavilion is a hidden sect that has been hiding from the world until the Crown Princess. After rescuing the Crown Prince and General Li, it became known that the Crown Princess was a disciple of Tianji Pavilion. Lu Zhenchun's face was startled and he exclaimed in a low voice, isn't it right? The future Crown Princess is actually a member of the hidden sect. Yang Yaozong smiled and said, when I first heard about it, I was shocked. Speaking of which, when the prince and the princess were engaged, I felt strange. With the respected status of the Dugu family, how would you find a girl from such a small place to be the future crown princess? Dominating the powerful families, Rebirth of the strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 260. Lu Zhengchun chuckled, and continued what he said, so, now you know that people from the Dugu family are the ones who are really discerning. They took action so early and gave this princess of an extraordinary background to winning over to Dugu's house. Yang Yaozong nodded repeatedly, isn't it? I'm so impressed. By the way, I also heard that the prince has now entered Tianji Pavilion and became a disciple of Tianji Pavilion. His skills are incredible and he is famous all over the world. Army. You don't know, old General Li is muttering that this old man Dugu is a scheming old fox. Lu Zhengchun laughed, ha ha ha, General Li and the others may regret it before it's too late. Yang Yaozong also nodded and laughed, that's right. Not only General Li's family regrets not seizing this great opportunity, but other families are also beating their chests and regretting it, ha 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 ha. After Yang Yaozong finished laughing, Lu Zhengchun suddenly straightened his face and said to Yang Yaozong seriously, by the way, brother Yang, tell me, if I want to invite this master of brewing spiritual wine to come out and participate in it on our behalf in China, is she willing to take part in the International Wine Festival's wine competition? Yang Yaozong smiled and said, don't even think about it. A member of a hidden sect and a wine master who can brew such a fairy wine, will she compete with mortals in brewing? Doesn't that bring them down? Grade, what a joke. Lu Zhengchun said with a melancholy look, I also know that this matter must be difficult, so why don't we discuss this with you? Seeing his unhappy look, Yang Yaozong quickly waved his hand, okay, you say it, I'll listen. Lu Zhengchun sighed and said, you also know that our country has never won first place in the wine competition held by the International Wine Festival. I am a person who likes wine and loves wine. Over the years, I have been working hard for the national wine industry. Going global, I have devoted my whole life to this wine. If I cannot win back the highest honor of this wine industry for my country until my death, then I, Lu Zhengchun, will not be able to rest in peace. Yang Yaozong looked at his old friend's dejected look, and thought that he had indeed spent his whole life fighting for the cause of the liquor country, for the wine of China to enter the world, and for the glory of the country. A trace of admiration flashed in his eyes. After thinking about it, Yang Yaozong said to him, let's do this, brother Lu. When the crown princess and the others come out later, I will lead you up. You can tell the crown princess about this yourself. Whether it succeeds or not depends on you. Lu Zhengchun's face, which had been gloomy just now as if it was about to rain, instantly brightened up after hearing Yang Yaozong's words. He held Yang Yaozong's hand and said excitedly, brother Yang, thank you so much, thank you so much. No matter whether it succeeds or not, I will treat you to a drink afterwards. Yang Yaozong laughed and said, then I'll be waiting. Lu Zhengchun also chuckled and said, don't worry, I won't forget this. After saying that, he said to Yang Yaozong anxiously, brother Yang, should we go to the hall first and wait for the crown princess? Yang Yaozong nodded, okay, let's go out and wait. The two of them sat in the living room until almost 2 o'clock, when they saw a large group of people including Li Kai and Shen Tianxing walking out. Yang Yaozong quickly touched Lu Zhengchun and said to him in a low voice, "Look, the most beautiful girl walking in the front is the crown princess." Lu Zhengchun responded repeatedly, I know, I have read the newspaper." "Then let's go." Yang Yaozong led Lu Zhengchun to stand up and walk towards Shen Tianxing. "Little miracle doctor, are you eating well today?" Shen Tianxing glanced at him with a smile and nodded, "It's delicious." "Thank you Boss Yang for your warm hospitality." Li Kai, who was treating today, was told by the waiter when he went to check out that the boss had waived the bill for today's tables. Yang Yaozong smiled heartily and said, "I haven't thanked the little miracle doctor for the gift of wine." "Oh, I just drank a glass of that wine. The taste is really indescribable, so wonderful." The students who had just drank this spiritual wine all responded, "That wine is indeed delicious. You don't get drunk after drinking it, but you feel energetic all over your body." Yes, I had a headache just now, but after drinking that wine, my head no longer hurts. It's amazing." Hearing the echoes of his classmates, Yang Yaozong was also full of smiles. After Lu Zhengchun tugged at the corner of his clothes, he seemed to suddenly remember, "Oh, by the way, little miracle doctor, I'll follow you, please introduce me. This is Mr. Lu Zhengchun. He is a national wine critic, the president of the Winemaking Technology Association, and a member of the National Liquor Industry Committee. He said he has something to discuss with you. Can you give him some advice? Want to talk for a while?" Shen Tianxing raised his eyes to look at Lu Zhengchun, and found that Lu Zhengchun also had a faint light of merit. Shen Tianxing has always been tolerant of people with merit, so she nodded, "Okay. Then please find a place." Lu Zhengchun was overjoyed and said repeatedly, "Thank you, thank you." Shen Tianxing said to Li Kai and the others again, "Li Kai, you go back first. I will go home directly from here in a while. See you tomorrow." When Li Kai and her classmates saw that she still had something to do, they all said, "Okay, see you tomorrow." Seeing that his classmates were all leaving, Shen Tianxing looked at Yang Yaozong and Lu Zhengchun, smiled at them and said, "Let's go." Yang Yaozong quickly extended his hand and said, "Little miracle doctor, please come over here." "Good." Yang Yaozong took her and Lu Zhengchun to a private room dedicated to drinking tea and talking, and said to them, "Little miracle doctor, brother Lu, you guys talk first. I have something else to do, so I'll go and get busy." Shen Tianxing nodded slightly towards him. Lu Zhengchun also said gratefully, "Brother Yang, thank you. You go ahead and I'll take care of the little miracle doctor." "Okay, I'll leave first." Yang Yaozong waved to them with a smile and walked out. When Yang Yaozong closed the door, Shen Tianxing didn't follow him around and asked Lu Zhengchun directly, "I wonder what business Mr. Lu has come to see me for." Lu Zhengchun first made a pot of tea for Shen Tianxing, brought her a cup, and gestured for her to treat her to tea. Then he replied to her solemnly, "Little miracle doctor, this is how the wine industry in our country develops. After so many years of hard work, we have only achieved the export goal, but are far from reaching the top of the international wine industry, and have never won the first place in the International Wine Festival competition. This is something I deeply regret." Matter. When Shen Tianxing heard what he said, he already knew what he was talking about. But she still asked him with a smile, "Does this have anything to do with me?"